Hey, how's it going? Devon Stutz here from Dye Precision. I'm out here in lovely Michigan at Lone Wolf Paintball, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Dye M3 Plus.
Ooh, what you going to tell us about it?
Well, I mean, I think I'll go over the whole gun, kind of cover it from top to bottom. If you're going to be a person that just picked up one of these guns, you're going to go out to play, I'll cover what you're going to need to kind of look for, or really just make sure what you're ready to go, right? Like, so your tank goes into, adjusting velocities. Then we can also go into some further stuff about, long-term, bolt maintenance, and also just making sure that you can take care of your gun so it's going to last as long as you will.
Awesome. Where are you going to start?
So we'll start where kind of everybody kind of, where the gun would be, right? So we want to make sure that the gun turns on. So you want to make sure your battery's charged. On the back of the gun, you've got a joystick. It's a 5-way joystick. You go up, down, left, right, and then pushing it in. So you get your all 5 directions. Push it in, you get the gun turned on. It'll first come on, it'll tell you what version the circuit board software is. There have been a couple different versions of the software. The latest is a version 4.02, which this gun happens to have. If for any reason your M3, M3 Plus, or even an M2 has previous versions of the software, all of the most current software is available for download for free through the Dye website. That's something you can download, put onto a USB stick, all the guns come with, and then update your software from there. It's pretty simple, but I believe there's a video from Lone Wolf that you can check out on doing that programming. So once you make sure the gun's turned on, you've got this red light here. That's gonna give you a signal that there's no paintball in the breech. If a paintball is in the breech or something inside, it turns green. Red means it's, red's not gonna fire. So everything is good there. You've got your air port where you screw your tank onto. There's the slap ASA. It's got magnets on there. So the magnets help to push it, obviously help to hold it closed and also help to stay it open. When you screw your tank on, there's a pin on the inside. The pin on the inside of this air port obviously activates the pin on the tank as soon as it's pushed in. You get air through the gun. And one thing that is pretty cool with the M3 Plus is there's a lot of different features and some software, advancements that you have. On this toggle button, if you turn this to the left side, which towards the screen, you'll get a quick readout where it'll tell you what the PSI of your regulator is, how many shots you have in the gun. It'll give you what your player profile is. Also tells you, your average balls per second that you're shooting, what the peak rate was. So you get a couple little things as like a quick readout. So
you said PSI. That's the PSI coming in from the tank, or what the regulator is operating at?
That's what the regulator inside the regulator for the gun is going to put at. So you kind of want that PSI to be around 120, 125 PSI, which give or take, where you're at, it'll give you around 300 feet per second. Which is a good thing. So like, let's say you're at a place where you're going to go chrono, you can quick read out and go, all right, cool. I'm where I need to be. You're pretty close. You can also, make sure that when you do your fine tune adjustments, you've got your, well, this is your flex multi-tool, into the bottom of the reg, in turns it down, out turns it up. So if you do have to make any adjustments, you can make small adjustments, cycle the gun and shoot over a chronograph. And then you can also, do a quick readout to see what PSI and what that changed to. And again, it's just an easy user face that it's pretty simple to use.
Yeah, I don't think I realized the gun did that. That's cool, especially if I'm kind of tinkering at home and I want to kind of preset and I don't have a chrono to test. I can at least shoot in my backyard and adjust based off that PSI reading.
Absolutely, and I mean, it gives you a good idea, right? Like, I mean, it's not going to be 100% perfect, just with different paintballs, the different climate, elevation. That stuff does affect the velocity, but it gives you a good idea where you should be. Obviously, as air's gone through, it's gone into the regulator, it's going to go into your bolt. So, obviously, before you go play, I always, let me turn it this way. I always suggest, it's always a good idea just to make sure your bolt's lubed. Some key components that you want to make sure are lubed are the dynamic O-rings, right? Like the O-rings that are going to be under movement or going back and forth. So you've got one here on the tip of the valve stem that hits and activates on the inside of the bolt. Push this through. You got this bolt seal O-ring here. This is constantly going in and out of the can. That's another one of the kind of crucial O-rings you want to make sure it has lube on it, as well as the inside of the can itself. Those are some of the key O-rings to keep lubed. The other thing is to keep an eye on as time goes on, right? Like if you're playing pretty regularly, let's say you're playing every weekend, for 2 months. It's a good idea to not only, obviously make sure that your O-rings are in good condition, but keep an eye on some of the bumpers. Because of the way the bolt movement is, you do have some O-rings that are, like specifically these brown ones back here, are bumpers, so you don't have metal hitting against each other as you've got some strong forces. Over time, you could see some of these bumpers start to do their job, but after time they need to get replaced. So every couple months, if you're playing every single weekend, every Saturday, every Sunday, I would definitely say to check them out. If you're a casual player where you play once every couple months, it's not something you really need to worry about, opposed to the hardcore tournament player.
Those O-rings are included in the kit with the gun.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, all the guns come with an O-ring kit, so you can change them out a couple times over. And then the O-ring kits are also available through retailers like Lone Wolf. So you can go out there and pick up an O-ring kit if you needed that as well. All the O-rings in the M3 are color coded, so that way it just helps to differentiate the different sizes, right? So you're like, oh well, if they're all black, for example. It's harder to make sure out of your kit which one was this 15, which one was the 14, because they're similar in size. But making sure that your bolt kit's cleaned, you've got lube on those O-rings is a pretty important thing, just to set yourself up for success, right? Like no one wants to go out to play paintball. You get there and all of a sudden your gun's not working for any reason. That's not fun. And paintball is supposed to be fun. So your bolt kit here. So you've got the quick release button, which kind of holds it in. You can see there's the latch on the bottom of the bolt. So you push this in, this retracts, and there's a key slot on the back of the gun, which that locks into. So then your bolt's all the way in the gun completely. The other thing which you can't really see, but if you notice that the gun doesn't have any eye covers. It's a really sleek design, But without having eye covers, you've got to be able to access the internal eye system and the breech. So with the die guns, you've got the eye pipe. With this eye pipe, it is your breech. So over time, you may notice that some guns have been used for years and years and years, and you look inside and the breech is really well worn. There could be grooves or gouges in there. You won't see that with a die gun. You have this polycarbonate eye pipe that goes in there, so you can actually replace your breech completely. So if you've had several thousand shots going through there and it's just not holding up, these eye pipes are really thick. You're not gonna have to worry about these things breaking. Also too, with the newer eye pipes that comes in the M3 Pluses, we've got 2 ball detents. The ball detents are independent on each side. So with these ball detents, they make sure that as the paintball drops in, it doesn't go forward out of the breech area for your shot. So without the ball detent in there, you could have some double feeding issues, where it won't be consistent. You can also see some of the eyes not maybe registering or not seen because of the ball get pushed past. So the ball detents are actually pretty important, and it's definitely an important piece to have inside the gun before you play. Without having that inside the gun, it's going to be a little thicker, or there's more space for the paintball to move around, and you'll probably break some paint. Question
for you on the eye cover. I know there's been a couple different versions of the eye cover through the years. I think we're on version 4, if I remember. Is there a clear way to tell which version I have if I want to, and are they interchangeable? If I have an older version, can I put the 4 in and vice versa? Yeah, so the Gen 4 eye pipe that's in this gun will actually be backwards compatible to the M2s. It'll also fit in the Rise CZR, and it also works in the Die DSR. So there's a few guns it goes into. This specific eye pipe isn't backwards compatible to like the DM15s. So like a DM15 marker uses a similar eye pipe that would work from 14 all the way down to the DM9.
And that eye pipe is also can fit back into a DM8 as well.
Okay.
That eye pipe is used in probably in a lot more guns. The reflexes, the rises use that similar eye pipe. Other eye pipes that we have are unique to the different models of guns. Like we've got the die dam, because the dam has hopper fed and mag fed. The eye pipe has to have gears on it to rotate. So that one's still different. And then the die NT uses a different eye pipe because of the lengths inside the breech.
Okay. It's good to know.
Yeah. All the die M3 pluses, all of our high-end guns come with an ultralight boomstick barrel. This is the ULS barrel, which actually has a 1-inch longer control bore. So it kind of helps for the sound signature and accuracy and efficiency. Also, just to kind of keep going with the ultralight feel, we've done as much as we can to kind of reduce the amount of thickness with the barrel, as well as help for the shot. You've got the ULS barrel tip, so we've done some things with the porting to help change with the sound signature as well for the barrel. So you'll notice it has a little bit of a different tone when you shoot the gun. I mean, other than kind of running through all the gun there, I mean, getting ready to go play, you make sure your tank's on there. You've got 120 PSI going from your inline regulator. You get your hopper on there, and as soon as a paintball goes in there, you're green, you're good to go and play. Within the gun and the circuit board, there's a whole lot of features that you can go through, and I kind of touched on the software settings or the software update. Within the circuit board, you actually have 5 different player profiles that you can save and set to be your own. So if you're playing, let's say you're out there and you're playing just a fun day, you're going out to the local field, having some fun with playing walk-ons, and you want to have your gun in semi-automatic, they might have a rate of fire cap, so you can have your player profile. Right now that's on player profile 1. So I'm in player profile 1. I would, if I wanted to adjust this, so you press up on the back of the toggle joystick, you can get into your different profile settings, and you can, go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there's a 6th one, which is your factory settings. But in here you can have 1, so actually we're in player profile 2, so we're performance settings. So I'll hit enter, which is pressing it in, hit enter again, and now I can go through and adjust it. I can adjust what my game clock setting is going to be. My trigger sensitivity, if I want to change that to make it higher or lower. The balls per second, if you want to show your balls per second cap, you want to make the gun shoot faster, shoot slower. The different firing modes, you've got semi-automatic, you've got a semi-automatic, you've got your NXL ramping mode, you've got another burst mode, and then you've got a full auto mode, as well as an outlaw mode. The full auto mode, the first trigger pull is semi-automatic, then after that it's full auto to the balls per second you have it at. The outlaw mode is something a little different, to where it gives the person person of the gun, right, like your own preference to whatever you want to set those that ramp to. So you can adjust how soon the ramp will kick in, how late it kicks in, or how fast it will be. So you have those options yourself. If you want to just have a little fun in your backyard, go out and do it. Or if your field allows different modes, then you can, obviously go out there and do that. If you're, playing tournaments, you've got your NXL ramp mode, which is, the approved firing mode for the most major tournament series. So you can adjust those, and I guess the best thing is having different 5 profiles. You can set each profile to have a different fire mode, So as long as the tournament lock on the circuit board is not on, you can go through and change those modes even while you're playing. So if you want to have your semi, you can go back and forth and do that. There.
You said the profile 6 was factory.
Yeah.
Now is that locked so I can't mess with that factory profile?
Yeah, so you can't change anything in there. It'll tell you what all the settings are.
Okay.
And it's basically a safe. So if you're somewhere you don't have your manual and you're not too sure what the original settings would be, you can go back to that factory and you can double check.
That's smart.
So cool. Then after the firing modes, you've got your dwell. You really don't need to mess with the dwell. I mean, I'd say on the M3 Pluses, keeping the dwell at 16 is where you want to go.
You hear that, guys? Tony says it all the time too. Don't mess with your dwell.
Yeah.
They put it there at the factory for a reason.
Yeah. Next one is the ABS, is the anti-bolt stick. This is a setting that I actually do suggest people adjusting. I personally would change mine up to 10 instead of 6. And all that does is to help increase, so that makes sure that if you've been playing for a little bit, you're not going to have any kind of bolt stick at all with that first shot if the gun's been sitting there idle for a while. The ABS wait time. So this is the delay in the time it waits for the gun to kick in the ABS, which is the previous setting. So I personally, myself, I'll take my ABS setting and I'll go from 6 to 10, and then I'll take the ABS wait time and I'll also drop that down. So, just like with the firing modes, if you want to adjust one of these settings, you'll push in when you're at that setting you want, and then you've got it turns red, show you that you can change it, and you can drop it down.
When you say drop down your wait time, you mean make it shorter?
Correct.
Okay.
You drop it down, you make it shorter time. So it's increments of 5, so you have 10, 15, 20. 20 is the stock with that setting there. The next setting is the eye delay. So the eye delay is something that it uses from the trigger, when the trigger is pulled to the circuit board, telling the solenoid to move and then having the bolt shoot. If you want to have this, if you want your gun to shoot as fast as possible, a lower eye delay helps with that. The one thing is to be cautious of is, making sure that it's not too low for, the hopper speed. If you have it on 1 and you're having something like an R2 or an LTR, you won't have any issues. That kind of covers all of the settings and the performance side of things. The next category is the data settings. So, having all this in your circuit board, that gives you, information. One thing that you can do is change each profile. So if your player profile, instead of having it player P1 for player 1 or P2, you can customize that. There's all the characters in the alphabet. You've got all your numerical numbers. Then also some other symbols that you can use and go ahead and change it to put your own, your own flair on it. Next is the boot screen select. Oh, I'm sorry, this is the play screen. So we give a couple different options for the play screen. So if you want to change this to, you want to see, the game time that you have on there. You've got another one where you see your fired mode, and then the contrast on the circuit board. So makes it more of instead of having a black background, it's all white. So it kind of helps it if you're, depends on the lighting at the field you're playing on, you can adjust that. So you got a couple different options there. There's actually 4 different options for that. The next one is your boot screen. So when you turn the gun on, the gun will come on with originally out of the box an M3 logo and tell you your, what version software. You can customize that if you wanted to put a picture of your team logo on there. You wanted to put your picture there, or any other picture you can dream of. You can upload it to a USB stick and in turn upload it onto your gun. There's some instructions in the manual on how to do that. You would go to an online image converter and you would want to convert it to a BMP file at 128 by 128 pixels, so the length, the width and the height of that image. So you do have to reduce it in size, but you can take any logo. So if you have your team logos on there, you want to put it on there, or if you want to anything else that you can dream of, you can put it on that gun. This next one is the shot tracker. Just how many shots that you're going through. Then you have your total shot count.
Now those can be reset to 0 though, correct?
You can change your shot tracker.
Okay.
Depending on the mode, and you have a countdown. The shot tracker can help if you especially with like the Evoke system. The Evoke system is a different accessory that you actually drop into the i5 goggle, and it's almost like having a coach in your ear. But with some of the formats at one time, there was limited paint formats, and you could use that shot tracker to go through and it'd be like, hey, 400 shots left. Depending on what you set that number at, it would tell you you've shot 200 paintballs. Okay. You've shot 300. I think most everybody's kind of gotten away from the limited paint formats, but it still works. There's some places where people go out there and they don't want to shoot so much. So you have that there.
Well, I was thinking for the counter, I was more concerned about like the guys on the buy-sell trades that are going, oh, this gun's only shot 4,000 rounds. And it's like, well, can I trust that, like an odometer on a car? Oh,
gotcha. Well, the total shot counter, you can't reset. The total shot counter will stay there.
Okay. No matter what, battery dies, it'll
correct.
hold it?
The total shot counter will stay there.
So that is an accurate representation of how much paint's actually gone through the gun in its lifetime.
Correct, yeah.
Awesome.
Then you've got, just some other information like your rate of fire, averages and peaks, if you're shot it consistently. This is something you can reset and adjust. Brightness, if you want to, make the screen not so bright, you want to make it, duller, you can. Sleep time. This is something really big, especially if you're playing a lot of scenario paintball, to where you could be out there laying in a bush for 30 minutes before pulling your trigger again. The gun comes set up with the sleep timer already at 10 minutes. If you were to adjust that, you push it in, you can adjust it, you want to go higher, so you don't want the gun to turn off. You want it to be, let's see, you want it at, let's say 2 minutes. We can fiddle this around.
Can you turn it off completely too?
You could turn it off completely.
Okay.
Some people, let's say you don't want you don't want to hear anything, right? Like you don't want the gun to make any noises as you're going through. So as I've been going through all the settings, it's been pretty quiet. There's an audio setting on here. You can turn it on. So if every time you go through and you adjust something as well, you have that beep. Some people might like it. I'm going to go ahead and turn that back off. Got that there. And then the final one here is going to be the PSI reading. So with this PSI reading, this is just going to tell you what your inline reg pressure is. It's going to have a little gauge on there so you can kind of see it. One thing is as you are in any of the configuration modes or in any of these settings, the gun's not going to cycle or not going to shoot. The next one here is your service system. So kind of like your car, you've got indications on your car like, hey, it's time to change your oil. Might maybe be a check engine light. With the M3s, there's a couple settings in here that'll come on and give you a service indication where it's time for you to service the gun. Service settings right now are on, so you want them on. You go through and you have your first one is the regulator. So it's set now at every 7,000, actually every 75,000 shots. So it's a few cases of paint. The gun will come on and service light will pop up and you'll see a service across your screen of the bolt. All that is giving you a reminder that, hey, it's time to service this particular part. So you have it for the regulator. You also have it for your bolt kit. So on the bolt kit, you're adjustable. You have 4,000 shots, which is the default setting. You can also adjust it to 8,000. 4,000 being 2 boxes of paint, 8,000, 4 boxes of paint. And then once you've, re-lubed and serviced the gun, you would come back into your service settings and reset them. This is something that you can turn off if you don't want to have it, so you don't want to see that indication come up. That's also not an issue as well. So after that, there's the turn the gun off. So right now the gun's turned off. So to turn the gun on or off, you hold the button in for 2 seconds. If you would like, if you're someone that when you play, you squeeze your grip really tight, or you might hold it in and push this back button, you can adjust this to go to a tap twice. So that way when you tap twice, so to turn the gun off, you would hit the back button 2 times. Again, that's just a preference thing. Some people may want to have it so they hold it in. Some people may want to do the tap feature. The final one in the data settings is the restart to default. So it'll restart everything back to default. You've changed a bunch of settings. You just come in here, restart to default, hit this yes, and it's going to turn the gun off, but everything's going to restart. And all the settings that were adjusted are now back to where they need to be. So kind of a little bit of a fail-safe if you do just something you're not really sure of.
Awesome. So you said the service reminder was for the bolt and for the regulator. Mm-hmm. We didn't touch on what kind of maintenance would they need to do to the regulator, or is recommended they can do themselves?
Gotcha. Yeah. So with the regulator, so it's in the front of the gun. So you've got this sleeve. Just pull this sleeve pulls down, and when you actually see your hyper regulator here. The velocity adjustment, right? If you're going to adjust your velocity, you use a 3/16 into the bottom of the gun to the brass adjuster there. If you were going to service the gun and take the regulator apart,
like I said, regulator maintenance is covered under the warranty still, as long as they follow kind of the manual procedures.
Yeah,
I don't want to
correct.
tell people anything that they're going to be like, oh no, I did this and now you're, screwed my warranty up.
No, and this is all stuff that you should be doing as well.
Mm-hmm.
So within the bottom of the regulator, you have this cap here, which kind of holds everything in place. I'm screwing this here now.
So there's slots for
Yeah,
either that
correct.
tool or a big flathead screwdriver.
Yeah, I mean, you
quarter
can
or
use this, you can use a quarter, 100%. Let's see, something.
And that's not adjusting the velocity at the same time. That screw.
No, and when you are taking the reg apart, you should make sure that the gun is degassed.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like anything, you don't want to have it aired up. So the piston's inside. You've got the piston inside the regulator. This is your spring. For the regs, for all the service parts of it, you've got the reg seat on the inside of here. To access the reg seat, you do want to, there's a little piece of rubber in here. Kind of pick this off. It's a bumper that'll come out. And then from there, you can unscrew. So this, now what I'm doing is I am going to be adjusting the velocity of the pressures because I'm taking this part out here.
So now at this point, that was the same screw you adjust for the.
Yeah, so this is the same screw that you do adjust your velocity on. So basic maintenance for the reg, take it apart, clean it off. The reg does get a lot of debris, dirt, everything inside there. Let's see here. So I like to put the Allen key in the bottom of this just so you can unscrew the cap. This cap on top holds the reg seat. So you got your reg seat, your adjusting piece there, you got the reg seat. This is the part of the reg where you really want to keep an eye on the inside of this seat. I don't know if you can see it inside there, but if you see any predominant circles or deep grooves in there, that's a kind of a telltale sign that the seat needs to be replaced. It's really not something that has to be replaced too often, depending on how often you're playing. But that would be a part in the reg that you might want to keep an eye on and replace. Especially if you're playing very regularly. It's not going to be something that you're going to have to do every weekend by any means. You might have to do it maybe once a year.
Is that part included in the parts kit as well, or is that something I have to look for separate?
It's included in the parts kit. It's
Wonderful.
obviously something that can include in the parts kit. The one thing just to keep an eye on is when you do take everything apart, you've got the little spring, the pressure relief spring, and the pressure release brass pad. So one thing that you do have with the gun is when you do degas the gun will vent its air out, and it'll come out the bottom of the ASA. So when you degas your gun, it doesn't store a shot. So let's say, like with some guns, if you were to turn the air tank off, the gun would still have one shot within the chamber. With this, you don't have to worry about that. It'll drain all the air out, so you're not having a phantom shot that could be in there and your tank's off, and all of a sudden you shot your teammate in the pits. You don't have to.
That's a nice feature.
It's a safety feature,
Yeah,
right?
It's great.
Putting everything back together. One thing to kind of just be aware of is not to over tighten this cap with the reg seat. I mean, you want it to be snug, but it stopped and I stopped. I didn't have to just keep cranking on it. You could keep cranking on and you could still turn it tighter, but then you'll start to have some issues, and you'll have some issues with your regulator. You could see some leaking, and then you're also going to put pressure on that reg seat, which is not needed.
All right, dumb maintenance question, but somebody's going to want to know. If my reg's leaking, can I just stick some Teflon tape on that bolt when I stick it back in?
I mean, you could do anything. I wouldn't recommend it. There's a reason why we're not putting Teflon tape there. There's not a need for that. If you do put something like that in there, the other thing you need to be aware of is pieces of that little Teflon tape can get up inside the gun and go different places. So I would definitely strongly discourage it, and not doing something like that.
Now, if I am leaking from the reg, is it probably that seat that you just showed me that's damaged, or is it
Yeah, if you're
else?
having reg issues, it's going to be from that seat. That's going to be where most of the issues will come from.
Okay.
So just get this little rubber grommet back in here.
Well, that's on the inside, correct?
Yeah, so that sits on the inside of this little brass piece. It actually holds that brass piece in place so you won't pull it out.
Okay. I don't want them to try and like peel off one of those red rings on the outside.
What's that?
I'm just making sure it's clear that it's a rubber seat on the inside,
Yeah.
not the red ring on the outside that they're...
Correct. So let's see if I can...
Is there anything to lubricate in the regulator there?
Yeah, so put a little bit of lube on all the O-rings. It's definitely be a good idea. Another part here with this regulator body, which is pretty cool. So there is a small O-ring that the reg piston, let me get this piston out here real quick. So you have a piston inside there, which moves up and down, which this spring kind of compacts against. There's another O-ring that the piston does seal on. And in some of the other guns, it could be difficult to access this O-ring. So one thing we did is with this cartridge piece, this piece unscrews. So you can put the same tool that you would put in the bottom to remove this and unscrew this part. You can use a 3/32 Allen key to go through the center here and unscrew the two together. And when you do that, you access that O-ring on the inside. So it makes it easy for this O-ring to replace. If there was something with this O-ring, any kind of dirt, you would notice that the gun would actually have a leak out of this bleed hole here. It's really not something too common to have happen. I mean, it's an O-ring, it can leak, but it's easy to access and easy to replace if need be. On a lot of other guns, that's probably one of the tougher O-rings to access and get to and swap in and out. So with the M3, we want to make this as easy as it can be. So having these pieces unscrew to where the O-ring just sits there's a recessed spot inside there. Just makes it easier for a long-term maintenance or from a teching standpoint. Put everything back together. You can throw a little lube on the O-rings there. And this will just screw right in. Then after you've screwed everything in place, what I would suggest doing is, with the Allen key on the velocity adjustment, is go all the way in until it's snug. Like, don't crank on it, just until it's tightened down. And then bring it about 3 turns out. And then from there, air up your gun and use that quick data readout to tell you what that PSI rating is. So that way you can set that to, obviously the correct PSI. If you're going down in pressure, it's always good to make an adjustment, shoot the gun a few times so that way it can get the pressures going through the gun completely and then check it again. If you're going up in pressure, you'll notice those changes instantly. But going down in pressure, you won't see that until you've actually released some air through that last shot. But throw that in there, and then once you've got that screwed all the way in, put your reg on there, and you're good to go.
Awesome. All right, so we talked about bolt maintenance, reg maintenance. Is there anything on the ASA that I need to look for, pay attention to, or is it pretty?
So I mean, there's a couple things that you can do to make sure is honestly making sure everything's clean. Biggest thing is if you do want to take off with the slap ASA, you have this goes back and forth, this cover. If you do want to remove this cover, you can use an Allen key. Let me get a little smaller guy here. So turn around so I can see it. There we go. So there's this button here on the inside. It's magnetic. This is it's like a release catch, almost to hold the slap ASA cover in place. So if you were to push this down when the cover's on, it allows this cover to slide all the way off. It does expose the magnets, which you have inside to connect and also pull apart. Making sure things are clean. Like paint, if you're getting shot in the gun, paint likes to make its way through everything. So if you're going to go through and clean your gun off at the end of the day, you want to take that off. That's kind of how you'd remove the cover. Putting everything kind of back on, you can slide it back on there, push that pin in, and then you're good to go. If you do need to have any kind of issues, one thing with the slap ASA is you're probably not going to see any of these issues with the pin or everything leaking just by the way it functions. If you do happen to have a leak coming out the bottom, start with a degas. And this is a multi-tool. All the M3s come with a multi-tool. You've got this little fork end here, which would go into the back. And there's 2 holes. Let me see here. Grab in and unscrew. And this is the housing piece that would just come out. Also inside, got a pin. My fingers aren't working to get all the little small stuff out, but you've got the pin on the inside. Oh, there we go. Cool. So when it's inside, this O-ring sits inside the ASA. When you activate the slap ASA cover, you push it in, this pin gets pushed forward to activate the air in your tank. If you do ever notice you have air coming out the bottom, it would be this black O-ring here, which sits inside of the airport itself. There's a step for it. So I mean, that would be something as far as a maintenance thing. I don't see it too common. It's not something that is a common thing with these to have issues with. But anything can happen.
You just set the pin in there, so you put them back in together, correct?
Yeah, correct. So it just goes in, and it's actually it helps when you have it off, so that way it's nothing's pushing it forward, because the grooves for the fork for the tool to screw it in there.
That pin can only go in one way?
Correct. Yes. Yep. Cool. Then we're good. Another thing with the ASA, actually I should have done this when I had it off. So let me pull the cover off here again. So with the ASA, it is a gas-through grip, right? So air goes into your air tank through the frame and goes up through the grip frame, through the body, goes down to the regulator, then back up into the bolt kit. You can adjust the placement of the ASA, or if you wanted to ever take it off. So if you wanted to adjust how this would sit, you get a 1/8 Allen key, go in the side here. It'd help if I read the... So loosen this slightly, and then you can move your ASA a little bit farther forward or a little bit back. Depending on your preference with the tank size, against your shoulder. Now, if you did want to remove the ASA completely, there's an additional screw. Oops, it's a 5/64. You would loosen this up a little bit, and you can actually pull your whole ASA off. So the screw on here is a lock, so you can only slide it so far. It'll catch against here. Because it is an air through, you have to make sure there's a seal. So if you ever wanted to take it off, you wanted to clean this area, trade out ASAs with a friend, get a different color. And then you slide it back on from the back. 5/64 Allen key tightens this down. It doesn't have to be super tight. It's just there to hold in place. And then once you had your preferred location, you grab the 1/8 Allen key, go back in, and tighten that up, and then you're not moving. So that's a kind of a preference thing where some people like different lengths for their tank, a different setup to go through.
I'm going to backtrack you real quick to the eye pipe. Is there any real maintenance with the eye pipe? I know it's to help self-clean the eyes and all that kind of stuff, but is there anything to look for there at the end of the day?
Just making sure you keep it clean. If you do for any reason get paint on the inside of the eye pipe, I would just clean it off. One thing that I personally do is I'll use like a rubbing alcohol, like an isopropyl alcohol, because all it does it'll clean off all the grease and everything like that. Because if if you put too much lube on your bolt, or you've got paint going through the gun that's kind of oily or greasy, that stuff can sit on the eye pipe, and if you have that on there, it's not going to be the best performing for the next. If you get another batch of paint, or you go to a tournament and the paint's really good, but your eye pipe's oily, it's not going to help you shoot straight. So that's something that you can use just to make sure you can clean it off, and you can even just dunk it in a little bit of rubbing alcohol and wipe it off. So the biggest things is you want to make sure that with the eye pipe, the ball detents are in good working condition. That's the biggest thing that, I've seen people that have, been playing for a whole year with their gun and they've never changed the ball detents, and you look at them and they're barely holding on. That's just something where, it's good to keep it on, and when they start to get worn out, it's time to just replace them, and they do come in your kit.
Okay, so the ball detents are replaceable separately than the entire eye pipe?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
And I always suggest, if you're going to dry fire the gun, have the barrel on, just so that way you're not missing the eye pipe. All too often I've seen people shoot the eye pipe out of their gun, and when that happens, there happens to be someone else there, and they're instead of looking for it, they step on it, and by that time, the eye pipe getting stepped on by someone, more times than not, it's not going to be able to be put back in your gun and used. So just something to keep an eye on.
Awesome. Tooless grips, correct?
Yeah, Tooless Grips.
So if you need to clean down there, they just pop off?
Yeah, so you can push in on the right side or left side, so you take off independently. So get the back and then pull it down forward. So you're going to release the front and the back, and then do the same thing on the left side.
Other than for cleaning and to do the tournament lock to be, tournament legal, is there any other reason to dig in there and get into the grips that you can think of?
There really isn't, unless really to put the gun in tournament lock, or to change the battery for any reason, but you don't have to, since it's a rechargeable battery. There's really not a lot of reasons to take the grips off other than for cleaning. By taking the grips off, you do have access and actually able to see the trigger and the circuit board and the micros. It's a lot easier. So if you're ever doing any kind of a trigger adjustments, and you're just, you want to ride the fine line, right? Like some people like a longer trigger pull, some people like shorter. So you can actually see where the trigger pull goes back, and then you can hear and then kind of also see the activation point. One thing I have seen, I think we talked about this a little bit before, is see people adjust the trigger to a point to where the activation point is already pulled in, and it doesn't allow the trigger to actually move forward. So when you pull the trigger, it's not shooting just because the switch hasn't been released. The trigger on the M3 Plus is really adjustable. You have adjustability for the trigger blade itself. There's 2 set screws that hold it in, so you can actually make this trigger go further out, for your fingers, or closer back in. You've got a magnet. Instead of using springs, it's on a magnet that you can adjust the tension of the magnet pressure, so it can be really snappy, or it can be really soft. And then you can access this through the grips itself. There's holes there, but the front and rear travel. So how far forward the trigger goes before activation, and how far back it goes. You can do all these adjustments with the grips on. You don't have to take the grips off, but having the grips on, it just gives you a little bit more, easier visibility to see. Since we got the grips off, we can go ahead and, if you want to I can drop the frame here. Grab a 3/32 Allen key. And then the frame will split from the gun body. There's no eye wires that go back and forth anywhere. The eye wires plugs into your circuit board up here, which has your pressure sensor reading, and the solenoid as well.
What was that thing that fell? Was that just one of the
one of the screws? Yeah. So you've got a grip screws here. One goes in the front, one goes in the back. These screws are hidden, so like you don't see the rear frame screw when the grips are on. It's covered. And you won't see the front frame screw when the reg sleeve's on. So that is also a kind of another thing. As I mentioned, there's no eye covers. The gun's really sleek, but you don't see any of, a lot of the stuff is kind of hidden. The solenoid on the M3 Pluses as well as the DSR is rebuildable. So if something does happen to the solenoid, you can replace the O-rings inside of it. It's not, something where, oh, the solenoid's bad, I need to replace the whole thing. These solenoids are rebuildable. O-rings, the couple O-rings do come in your repair kit, and then they're also available aftermarket as well. A couple of Phillips head screws to take the solenoid off, if you do ever have to change any of the O-rings on the spool. Really not something you're probably going to have to do, not really a likely thing, but if it does come to that point, it is easily accessible.
So probably wouldn't recommend tearing it apart just because, I need to, like, make sure there's an issue with your gun before you get into that part? For
sure. I mean, like, honestly, like, there really isn't a reason to take everything apart other than taking your bolt out, cleaning the bolt off, and re-lubing it. Like, everything else it's just something that you can do, but it's not needed. Okay. The biggest thing is making sure the bolt stays lubed and everything else. I think more times than not, I have definitely seen people take things apart and do more damage than good. Just trying to figure it out. Yeah. But
sometimes less is more.
Sometimes less is more.
Awesome. So. I can't think of anything else we need to touch on. Is there anything that you think we missed?
It's nothing come to, I think we've kind of got anything. One thing is we kind of touched on the barrel a little bit. With the M3s, you do get two barrel backs. You get the 688 and a 684. So you got two different barrel backs out of the gate.
Awesome. So if you guys got any more questions, put them in the comments below and we'll forward them to Devon and see if we can get them answered. I'm not going to make you guys watch him reassemble everything on camera. We appreciate him being out here. Make sure you go follow Di on all the social media platforms. You guys got Facebook and Instagram and the website.
Instagram, everything there.
So anything else you want to plug? Anything coming up, sneak peek you want to hint at before we let you go?
We're always working on something, but we'll have to wait and see what we have coming out. And I'm sure once we do, you can go and visit at lonewolfpaintball.com. Awesome. And we're going to have a lot more with Devon. He's going to go through the DSR, some of the hoppers. So stay tuned for all that. Thanks, guys. See ya.